we are going to transition to a couple of special guests that we welcome to the program here today. We are joined by Tom Wheaton and Maria Town. Now, Tom Wheaton is a United States Navy veteran and the PVA National Treasurer, and Maria Town, AAPD President and CEO. Maria, Tom, I'm Connor. Thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the time.
For week 3 games last
Welcome.
season.
Thank you for having us.
In Southern
Absolutely.
Indiana
And we're
would not
talking
see the
today
Indianapolis
about
Colts on their local
disability
market.
training in
Same
airports
for
when it
Houston
comes to, or
fans
even
in
just air
Northeast
travel,
Texas.
honestly, as a whole. Air
Despite
travel disability training and what that will do for passengers with mobility disabilities here. But I actually want to go backwards first and talk about the Air Carrier Access Act. That went into action nearly 40 years ago, promising certain protections, creating certain protections to help passengers with mobility disabilities. I'm wondering what has been the progress to where we now find ourselves in search of improvement and update? What's missing in the Air Carrier Access Act that we now hope to improve upon with these new rules and trainings?
Well, first off, like you said, it's happened 40 years ago, and there's many examples of just horrific things that have happened, including a very close friend of mine. He's a Marine Corps veteran, quadriplegic, 7 years ago. Untrained handlers tried to bring him from his wheelchair to an aisle chair, a very skinny chair, so you can onboard. They dropped him violently, and he broke his tailbone. And as a result, he had surgeries, multiple months of bed rest, and any dignity that he had simply disappeared that day because they were untrained. And that's just inhumane.
Yeah, Tom, unquestionably inhumane. That sounds terrible, and I hope that some of these new trainings will help to prevent that sort of situation exactly. So what about this new training for airline staff will be so helpful? What are the keys that we hope are learned by staff so that they can assist passengers with mobility disabilities from this particular training?
So with these new federal training requirements, which go into effect on June 17th, airline personnel who assist people with disabilities and who handle our devices, like our wheelchairs and our mobility scooters, will have a hands-on training on the best ways to do that and be assessed on their device handling competency on an annual basis. So with this training in place, passengers with disabilities should have better experiences and safer experiences when we fly. We should also be able to fly with confidence that the devices we rely on for our independence and for our mobility don't get broken during transit. But these improvements to the customer experience will only happen if these training requirements are fully enforced by the U.S. Department of Transportation and thoroughly implemented by every airline in the United States.
And how do we make sure, what's the next step to ensure that all of that is being implemented, that this is being done correctly, and frankly, that the importance of this is impressed upon those staff members?
One way that we make sure this is actually happening is by ensuring that people with disabilities and the folks that we travel with know our rights when we fly. So I'm going to insist that folks visit pva.org/air travel to know their rights and to know what they should expect. And then if something goes wrong or if something isn't right, to report it to organizations like PVA and the American Association of People with Disabilities and report it to the Department of Transportation.
Absolutely. And PVA stands for Paralyzed Veterans of America. Again, Tom, you're the national treasurer of that organization. We're here in Hampton Roads, where we have a very strong veteran community. I want to ask for how important is this type of training when it comes to the veteran community? What does this mean to the veteran community specifically to see that more steps are being taken in this particular space?
Well, this applies to all the millions of Americans with disabilities, but especially for our veterans. There should be some extra dignity coming their way, because this isn't merely about compliance. This is about dignity. This is about respect, safety, and trust. And lastly, we want to make sure that air travel, remember that that is a basic civil right. And as veterans, we're going to protect that like we always have.
And is there anything that you can pinpoint that is maybe the single biggest issue, the thing that needs to improve the most when it comes to moving forward here?
Well, it's the training of the airline personnel to make sure that that happens so they are always safe, not only for our bodies, but the devices, like Maria had said. That has to be a better experience. And if these employees are trained, they're going to make sure that the equipment they use has the proper strapping on it and stuff because they don't want to get hurt themselves.
Tens of thousands of wheelchairs and other devices are broken or damaged by airlines every year. So that means tens of thousands of people are just stranded and not able to fully engage with their work or their family or receive the medical treatment that they traveled for in the first place. With this training in place, this could have ripple effects across our economy, across our tourism industry, in addition to positively impacting the millions of people with disabilities who fly and the airline staff who actually support us when we fly.
And Tom, you mentioned something interesting, I believe, which is that, air travel is a right that we all deserve access to, and we all deserve access to in a way that, like you said, is dignified, safe, and healthy. I'm wondering, this is something I had never thought about, but talking to you guys now, I am thinking about it a little bit. Do you feel like maybe that air travel and the right of being able to travel quickly and safely is something that we take for granted in general now, and maybe something like this will help reset perspective on that?
Yeah. What most people don't know is that there are lines of people waiting for this to be efficient. So as it is a go situation, we want to make sure that these employees have the proper training to take care of us in these quick times. And air travel is so much different than like train travel. I took the train from DC to New York City. What a wonderful experience. I stayed in my wheelchair. The aisle was wide enough. I was able to go to the restroom in transit, which you can't do in a domestic flight. So there's improvements galore that are needed here.
And that's great to hear that there is a template in terms of other forms of travel that now can be built upon, especially when it comes to air travel, to try and create the best possible situation for all of us. Tom, I'd like to thank you for your service. And Tom and Maria, I'd like to thank you guys for spending some time with us here on Live Impact News today. Is there anything else you want to add before we let you go?
Well, just that PVA has been doing this for 80 years. We've championed this fight. And we want to make sure that anybody has dignity and respect no matter how they travel.
Okay, wonderful. We appreciate all of your hard work, and it looks like it will lead to a much better situation for everyone. So thank you guys for joining us today. We look forward to covering this story as it continues to grow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Again, that was Tom Wheaton and Maria Town. Tom, a U.S. Navy veteran and the national treasurer of the Paralyzed Veterans of America, and Maria, the AAPD president and CEO, speaking about something that, again, it really dawns upon you that maybe this is something that is taken for granted: comfortable, dignified, safe, and healthy air travel. And so they're taking major steps to ensure that that is available to everybody. And it's just great to have them join us today, and we'll continue to monitor as those trainings are implemented. Obviously, Norfolk International right down the road, and it's something that we'll try to make sure we continue to cover as it goes along. So.